Thanks. A young girl killed in a tragic shooting on the Trestle Trail is being remembered through random acts of kindness.
It's been more than 8 years since Olivia Stoffel was killed in the Fox Valley shooting along with her father Jonathan and another man from Appleton. Now on what would have been her 20th birthday, Holly Brantley has more on how the Fox Valley community is coming together to keep Olivia's joyful spirit alive.
The Trestle Trail, a place of peace for many, rocked by gunfire May 3rd of 2015.
This is one of those where were you when moments.
11-year-old Olivia Stoffel was walking on the trail with her family when a suicidal gunman opened fire at random. Menasha police later calling it amazing that even after her mother, Erin Stoffel, was shot, she managed to save her other two children. Olivia, her father, Jonathan, and another man from Appleton were killed.
We're a strong, resilient community, and we choose to remember all the positive things that came out of it.
We're told by her family and friends turning darkness into light was Olivia's specialty. She loved spreading joy, and that's why now on what would have been her 20th birthday and every year on December 7th, organizations, businesses, police departments, and individuals come together to spread random acts of kindness in honor of Olivia.
She loved doing, nice things for people. At such a young age, and what a pure heart that is.
We caught up with Dan Wickman of the Fox Crossing Police Department.
She loved doing nice things for people.
Handing out coupons for free meals on the Trestle Trail.
A lot of people know exactly what we're doing. They're already fully aware of what today is.
Just to remember her, I get teary-eyed.
This is unusual in this community. So it kind of stands out, you remember it.
Then we tagged along with Menasha Police, taking treats and gifts to Goodwill and the Boys and Girls Club.
We brought some cookies for your staff.
Thank you.
Officer Dan Hernke was with the department when the shooting happened in 2015.
We want to keep Olivia's memory going. She was a very kind-hearted, sweet girl and liked to help people. So we want to keep that going forever if we can.
We're remembering her, but also just that we are also people and that we deserve kindness, and so does everybody else.
Olivia Stoffel still changing lives, one random act of kindness at a time.
These smallest acts of kindness, a smile, a wave, anything like we're doing today can change a person's life sometimes.
Erin Stoffel tells us she wants to thank everyone in the Fox Valley communities working to keep Olivia's memory alive year after year through random acts of kindness. In Fox Crossing, Holly Brantley, Action 2 News.